Okay, so the rules for the Liberal leadership vote make absolutely no sense. Let me explain, okay? So obviously you need to be a registered Liberal by January the 27th, 2025 in order to be eligible to vote. But to become a registered Liberal, the Liberal Party website says a person must be at least 14 years old. That seems a little young to me, but we'll come back to that. Number two, you must support the purposes of the party. Sounds very vague. I don't know. Number three, you must be a Canadian citizen or have status under the Indian Act or be a permanent resident of Canada. That's something I want to come back to as well. I'll tell you why it doesn't make any sense. But number four, you must not be a member of any other federal political party in Canada while you're registered as a Liberal and not have publicly declared an intention to be a candidate for election to the House of Commons other than as a candidate of the Liberal Party. I think I can live with number four because it prevents people like Christy Clark from running. If you don't get the reference, the former Premier of BC, Christy Clark, was also looking to contest for the Liberal leadership. But it came out last week that she had once been a registered Conservative.
You have called yourself a lifelong Liberal, but you voted in the last federal Conservative leadership race. That would have required you to cancel your Liberal Party membership in order to join the Conservative Party. How long were you a member of the Conservative Party, Christy Clark?
Never.
But you voted in the race, did you not?
No, I didn't. And I never got a membership, and I never got a ballot. What I did, though,
I will say, Christy Clark, we reached out to the Conservative Party, who told us, in fact, that your membership was canceled.
Oh, well, why don't they come out and show my membership or my ballot? They never sent me any of those, although I wouldn't put it past them to manufacture one of them.
And this woman sat there on live radio and lied about it. The Conservatives were obviously only too overjoyed to show the evidence that she was indeed registered with the Conservatives for about a year. Anyways, the evidence was presented and she's not running. End of story. Speaking of who is running, the 23rd of January is the last day for anybody seeking to become the Liberal leader to sign up. As we stand, here's what the field looks like. You've got Mark Carney, who I think is the favorite. There's Chrystia Freeland, former Deputy Prime Minister, of course. She launched her campaign this Sunday. And there's also Karina Gold, who also rolled out her campaign as well today. Young blood, she's 37 years old. Pretty young for a politician. But she's stepping down as House Liberal leader to focus on her campaign. She's not going to win, but she can set herself up for a future bid, maybe. Then there is Chandra Iyer, who I think is an absolute joker. It's an absolute joker. Did you guys hear him say he thinks people won't care that he doesn't speak French?
How's your French?
No.
No? No French?
No French.
Okay. The Liberal Party of Canada is the party of official bilingualism. It's going to be a tough one. I don't speak French either, so
The point is that whether the Quebecers or English Canadians, it's not the language that matters, it's what is that they deliver to them.
But the language matters very much in Quebec.
No. At the end of the day, Quebecers see who delivers what. We have English-speaking, French-fluent prime minister for all the time. One of the things that matters to Quebecers are being a sovereign country, a sovereign republic.
Yeah.
And which prime minister has ever talked about that?
Mr. Arya, if you're going to run for prime minister, you have to know that the French language matters, and the French it matters in Quebec.
Trust me.
Profoundly.
Trust me. At the end of the day, for French Canadians and English Canadians, the matters most is that how the children and grandchildren are going to prosper in this country. That is the thing that matters.
Like, bro, what part of bilingual country wasn't clear to you, dude? The other person that has declared to run for the Liberal leadership is Frank Baylis. He's basically the invisible man in this Liberal run. The man is getting zero coverage in the news. Anyways, I was telling you about how the Liberal voting criteria makes no sense. So, as I said off the top, you must be at least 14 years old. Now, if you're watching this, maybe you're a parent with teenage kids. Look at your teenager right now. Look at your 14-year-old. And tell me if you would trust that kid to pick up after themselves, never mind potentially picking the next Prime Minister of Canada. You can potentially pick the next Prime Minister before you're eligible to get a driver's license, before you're eligible to drink legally, before you're eligible to get a tattoo. Hell, this is before even the age of consent. You're going to find this wild, okay? Just about the only thing you can do without parental consent at 14 in this country is probably to go on hormone blockers. Become transgender? Personally, I think leave the kids alone, but to each his own. But think about what I'm saying to you here. I think it is an absolute farce that you let a 14-year-old vote in any election. I think it's wild. But actually, I did a bit more digging. It turns out that the Conservative Party has basically the same rules. It's absolutely identical to what the Liberals have. So to become a member of the Conservative Party of Canada, you need to be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. You need to actively support the founding principles of the Conservative Party of Canada, whatever that means. You need to be at least 14 years old, and you must not hold membership in another federal political party, and you must pay your membership fees. Maybe that's the only extra in there. Okay, so this is starting to get a little weird. So I was thinking to myself, okay, so what are the criteria for voting in the federal elections? So Elections Canada says you must be a Canadian citizen. Note how it doesn't include permanent resident here. You must be at least 18 years old, not 14, not 14. You must be at least 18 years old on election day, and you must prove your identity and address. Okay, so you obviously see how silly this is, right? I won't delve into the NDP and other parties, but between the Liberal Party and the Conservative Party, our two major parties, you can see that there is a little bit of silliness going on here. It makes sense that before you can vote, you must be 18, as the federal criteria says. But these parties, for some reason, have lowered the voting age down to 14 years old. Okay, so maybe I can understand why the Conservatives do it. They get a little bit of money. The Conservatives charge like $15 per year for membership. It doesn't seem like a lot of money, but maybe it adds up. So I can see why they do it. I can see why the Conservatives do it, right? What I do not understand is, as far as I know, the Liberals do not charge any membership fee. So I don't really get that. But maybe it is about bringing in younger people into the fold, catch them young, if you like. That is perhaps the only reason that might make some sense as to why they do this. The other thing I think is dumb about the Liberal leadership voting criteria is the fact that permanent residents get to vote. Now, you probably noticed when I read you the criteria for the federal elections earlier that permanent residents do not get to vote. In the federal elections, you have to be a Canadian citizen in order to vote. So again, why do the Liberals and the Conservative Party have different rules? Like, why do you have different rules for the parties, for the Liberal and Conservative Party, and different rules for the federal election? Look, I have nothing against permanent residents getting to vote, but I think you either let them vote on the federal level, or they should not vote in the party leadership races. It's simple as. There should be no midpoint here. Anyways, going into the Liberal leadership race, I hope the Liberals have a debate. It will give us a chance to have a first look, sort of, at these candidates, rather than voting on vibes. And obviously, we'll get to see the winner in a leaders debate once an election is called. If I had to guess, I would say McCartney probably wins the Liberal leadership, but he probably still loses to Pierre Poilievre. It's kind of interesting how my 3 reckless predictions for Canadian politics in 2025 are all coming true right now. So go check out that video if you haven't already. I made 3 reckless predictions on the 1st of January before we even knew that Justin Trudeau was resigning. And I'm actually not that far away on all of them. Anyways, if you're new to my content, please subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.